Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Well, happy Manic Monday to all my beautiful coffee beans. Come on in.
Go, go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why they say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts saying, turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past all the pain and you'll find a door. Open it up and finally explore everything that you thought you could never do before. And even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Bullhorn Betty, and we cover the case of Nancy Guthrie. Will we ever know what happened to Nancy Guthrie? That is the question that's hanging over this case this morning.
From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims.
An 84-year-old grandmother, a woman of faith, a mother of one of the most recognizable journalists in America, vanishes from her own bed in an upscale Arizona neighborhood. And a month later, with hundreds of investigators, DNA, video, detainments, and a cleared family, we are no closer to the truth than we were on day one. An empty house, a trail of blood by the front door, a missing doorbell camera, and a family that went from suspected to officially cleared in just over 2 weeks. This is the story of Nancy Guthrie, and this morning we're asking a hard question. Will we ever know what happened to her? Because if law enforcement, the FBI, 400 investigators working around the clock, surveillance video, detainments, DNA, and a 7-figure reward can't crack this, what does this say about justice for Nancy or her family? Let's go back to the beginning. Late on the night of January 31st, Nancy is dropped off at her home in the Catalina foothills after a family dinner. Her son-in-law, Tommaso Cioni, is the last person to see her alive, watching her walk into her home. The next morning, she doesn't show up to church. This is not a woman who just forgets Sunday service. Friends noticed. They called the family. The family goes by the house. What they find changes everything. Nancy is gone, but her car, wallet, phone, and medication still inside the home. The question is, what other evidence was inside the home? Outside, near the entry, there is blood, later confirmed to be hers, and the doorbell camera that should have been recording the last moments at her front door has been removed. In a matter of hours, her home goes from a sanctuary to a crime scene. From almost the very beginning, homicide investigators are called in, a rare move when you don't have a body. Even if the words homicide isn't in the press release, it's already in the room. In any disappearance, investigators start with the last person to see the victim alive. In Nancy's case, that's her son-in-law, Tommaso. He dropped her off at the house. He's on camera with her. He knows her routine. Rumors ignite online almost immediately. Is the son-in-law the prime suspect? Social media and comment sections treat him like a de facto person of interest long before any officials say it out loud. For days, the family in that awful gray zone, technically not ruled out. Every move they make is picked apart. Why did they say this? Why did they say that? Why is he so quiet? Why isn't he in the video? Why is she emotional here and composed there? Then comes the turning point. On February 16th, the staff finally draws a line. He issues a statement saying in plain language that the entire Guthrie family, including all siblings and their spouses, have been cleared as possible suspects. To be clear, he said, the Guthrie family, to include all siblings and spouse, have been cleared as possible suspects in the case. The family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious in our victims in this case. That includes Tommaso Cioni, specifically named in some coverage as having been ruled out despite the earlier conjecture about his involvement. So the internet had its suspect, and the sheriff just took him away. If this wasn't a family job, if Tommaso and everyone else are victims, not villains, then who walked up to that door, removed that camera, and took Nancy out of her bed that night? As the search ramps up, investigators recover video, a masked person, armed, in a jacket, moving near Nancy's home. Still images go out nationwide. This is the moment everyone thinks, we've got him. Within hours, a man in Rio Rico, later identified in media interview as Carlos, is detained during a stop. He says agents showed his in-laws picture of a masked figure and said the eyes look like his. He is questioned, his property is searched, and then he's released. No charges, no public accusation. Law enforcement won't even confirm his name. And analysis tell local outlet what they really mean. Either they don't think he's the guy, or they have nothing that will hold up in court. He's not the only one. Multiple persons of interest have been detained, questioned, or searched, and then have walked away free. A veteran FBI agent describes it bluntly. 400 investigators, 24/7 operation, DNA recovered at the scene, weeks of leads, and still no suspect. CODIS comes back with no match. No vehicle is definitively tied to the abduction. The trail that looked hot goes ice cold. A reporter standing outside the quiet house calls the atmosphere haunting. Media trucks, nervous neighbors, an ever-present sense of something terrible, and yet an unsettling stillness as meaningful updates dry up. This is the part of the movie where the big break is supposed to come, the dramatic arrest, the perp walk, but this isn't a movie. The detainments led nowhere. The DNA matches no one, and Nancy is still gone. Behind the scenes, operations are shifting from hundreds of agents to a smaller, long-term task force. The helicopters go away, the search grid shrinks. The national push alert slows down. Forensic experts warn that the key evidence might not be the obvious blood or fingerprint, but a hair, a fiber, an overlooked trace that has to be cobbled together with everything else to move the case forward. That is slow, painstaking work, and there's no guarantee it will ever be enough. Commentators who have been there on the ground are starting to say the unthinkable out loud. This may become one of those cases that never gets solved, despite everything poured into it. This morning, Nancy Guthrie's family has been cleared. The earlier person of interest is living his life again. The man detained after the mass suspect image was sent home. The DNA found at the scene belongs to someone who doesn't show up in any database we know about. And an 84-year-old grandmother is still missing from a house that should have been the safest place in her world. So I'm going to ask the question that nobody in authority wants to put on record. Will we ever know what happened to Nancy Guthrie? Is this a case that ends with an arrest, a trial, and answers? Or is this going to be another file in a cabinet, unsolved, unexplained, and forgettable only to the people who loved her? Over the next 2 hours, we're going to walk through every twist and turn you haven't been told, every theory experts are quietly talking about, and the decisions by investigators, by the media, and by all of us online that will decide whether Nancy's story ends with justice or with silence, like the Sebastian Rogers case. Well, good morning to my beautiful coffee beans. It's nice to see you this morning. I'm Bullhorn Betty. We've been covering the case of Nancy Guthrie, and I thought it'd be easier for me to try to do an intro video that just encompassed everything from the beginning of this case to where we are today. And the topic that we're going to be discussing here on the Bullhorn Betty channel this Monday morning is whether we'll ever really know what happened to Nancy Guthrie. A lot of stuff has been poured into this case, and it appears that law enforcement thought they were on a hot trail until that trail ran cold. And now it feels this whole entire world is back to square one. We're back to February 1st, 2026, when we learned Nancy Guthrie disappeared, ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night by a masked gunman. Who is that masked gunman? Why was he at Nancy Guthrie's house? And will we ultimately get justice for Nancy Guthrie? It is my opinion that Nancy Guthrie is most likely gone. I have been stating on this platform, based upon everything that I was seeing early on in the investigation, I believe she was deceased before even leaving the house. Now, or dying, or in the process of dying when she left the house. We had a masked man that had a firearm on him. We don't know if there was any sounds of fireworks or firearm projectiles going out of the firearm. We have no idea whether anybody was shot. The reason why we're bringing this portion up is because the masked gunman clearly had a gun. It was visible in his waist pants. It was visible that he had maybe some injuries to one side of his body or the other. But at the end of the day, we saw what we saw, and we now know that Nancy was ripped out of her home and out of her bed. Why? That is the biggest question. Now, her stepson, Tommaso Cioni, dropped her off at home, walked her in the house, and made sure she got in the house safely, which is what we would expect a son-in-law to do. Nothing about that is abnormal. The only thing abnormal about that night is somebody breaking into her home. We can clearly see that's not Tommaso. Now, I was talking on TikTok earlier this morning about this case, and although I feel like this is very personal and very close to Nancy and or Savannah, I don't believe it's Tommaso. Even if it's family, I don't believe it's the siblings or their spouses. I think by constantly going back to them, we're neutering our brain from moving past that, because there's somebody out there that meets all the boxes, that meets all those boxes, right? Close. But for whatever reason, this person was ultra comfortable at that house. We saw that. Moved around, was not too concerned whether somebody was going to get a ding or, have law enforcement come. Is that why they were there earlier? To stand in front of that camera to see how long they had before law enforcement responded? Was it all casing the joint and making sure all their times were accurate? Could that have been what it was? Because it clearly looked like he stared right at that doorbell camera. So why was he so spooked? And why did he rip that camera off the front door? We don't know. Will we ever? I truly don't know at this point. Because we've had the FBI, we've had all the alphabet soups of our federal government literally throwing every resource at this. And we have come up empty, at least from what the public understands. Empty. Nothing. Nada. We've had 2 people detained. We've had 2 homes and 2 vehicles searched and processed and to return back to those individuals. Those individuals were never charged, including Luke, which many people believe is associated with this. We've got a lot of problems in this case. We have a sheriff that appears to be incompetent, and incompetent because he just doesn't know what the heck he's doing in a case like this. And so many people think we don't know what we're talking about because we're not in law enforcement, whatever the case may be, they think we're ignorant. But the problem is we analyze every police procedure that we personally investigate the case. So if we have at Summer Wells, we're looking at law enforcement, we're looking at their handling of it, we're looking at TBI, we're taking note of all single processes that they're doing and finding the pattern from case to case to case to find out what their processes are. We analyze everything, okay? And when we don't know what's going on, we monitor the behaviors of law enforcement, which help guide us into understanding what phase of the process that they're in. In this particular case, while I believe that Summer Wells' case as well as Sebastian Rogers' case are not baffling cases, I think those are very straightforward cases. I think that all the proof is in the pudding of those, but we are in Tennessee, and unfortunately, the DAs as well as law enforcement are probably dumber than their jury body, even though they try to say the jury body can't figure out a circumstantial case. But that's the ignorance of Sumner County and in the state of Tennessee. Now we come over to Arizona and we have the same type of behavior from this sheriff. There is an opportunity to hand this case off to the most elite outfit in our nation to help solve this case. And this hunky bunk sheriff refuses to hand it over. Okay? That sheriff, if people are out in that community, you guys should be protesting that sheriff's office. You should absolutely be protesting that sheriff's office. This case needs to be handed over to the FBI. It does not need to be out there in Chris Nano's hands or the two other idiots that are running this case. And I'm going to call them idiots because nothing that they've done since the beginning of this has made sense. I don't like being disrespectful to law enforcement because I love law enforcement. I have high regards to good law enforcement. You guys will never hear me talk about Grady Judd like I'm talking about Chris Nanos or Sheriff Snuggle Struggles, right? You would never hear me talk. Why? Because he knows what the heck he's doing. He needs to be training these yahoos around this country because these yahoos around this country are causing real damage in their communities, and people are so like this community here, the community that we're before right now. This whole nonsense right here. You know what? Everybody in that community should be ashamed of themselves as they're posting this stuff right here, because if it was your family, you would want the media. You would want all the attention on your loved one. And to help facilitate pushing the media out that's keeping this lady's case alive and providing a lot of resources to this case. And you, the community, are doing this to her? And you think that this is dignity? You think this is dignity? Catalina Foothills. This. I don't know which one of you neighbors put this up, but how dare you? How dare you that your peace of mind is more important than an 84-year-old elderly woman that was ripped out of her blessed bed in the middle of the night? How dare you? What's dignified in that? And you just want to get back to your life, much like Sebastian's neighborhood, right? Remember all those people in that neighborhood? Oh, we just can't. Yeah, you'd feel different if it was your family. Would you not? You'd feel a lot different if it was your family. Shame on all of you. Whoever put this sign up, shame on you. Shame on you. Thank God you're not having to deal with this. Thank God you're only having to deal with the pesky media instead of having your heart ripped out of your chest and stomped all over. And then the few people that are still willing to help you, the neighbors, are trying to run away. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame, shame, shame. So Nancy Guthrie obviously could be moving back to New York to resume her anchoring job on the Today Show. I don't know how realistic that is. We've been hearing rumors since this case began that the chances of Savannah returning to her show may not happen. And they may not happen because she may blame the network for what she's going through. And I see that she's giving the network opportunity to capitalize on her mother because nobody else is getting those types of interviews like NBC is, which is problematic for independent journalists like me. But, I'm going to withhold judgment because of the situation we have here. I'm going to withhold judgment. Let me ask you guys, by a ones and twos, JLR saw it the day before yesterday. I understand. And I did see it yesterday. Was the first time I personally saw it because I was going to go live. And then I'm like, I just needed a day. I needed a day. I've been burning my candle at both ends. I needed a day. I needed to get some laundry done. I needed to clean the house. I still have my living room that's still packed, has some things in it, reminiscences of my trip. And I just need to get some things fixed up, right? So I decided to go ahead and just take the day and get the stuff that we needed to get done. So that was all resolved yesterday. And then while I was here, I was starting to see this note. And then, of course, the vigil that they had at that news station, which was, really thoughtful of everybody. But it's sad because I feel like everybody's given up on Nancy. And once again, shame on the community. This is the Sebastian Rogers 2.0. I told you guys that when we came into this case. The attitude of the community, that hoity-toity community that thinks their shit doesn't stink, that they think the world revolves around them and they could care less about a piece of human being that's missing out of their community, just as long as it doesn't disrupt their dinner. Like, people like that make me sick to my stomach. Okay? I'm sorry, they just do. And I'll shame a whole lot of you because I'm telling you, I'm not that nice person. I try to be, but it's stupid stuff like this that gets right up under my skin. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if I would have saw that, I would have cussed the person out and putting that up. And they'd be like, oh my God, those social media people are so rude. It's like, what the hell? Do you even have a clue how shitty this looks? How straight up garbage that looks? When I heard Miss Bobby say that in Sebastian Rogers' case, I have got no beef with Miss Bobby. Don't misunderstand me. I got no beef with the lady. But when she said that she just wanted her life back, it enraged me. It enraged me. How dare you? How dare you try to stifle a story of a missing person because of your need to be calm and not to be disturbed. The hell? People, you guys got something wrong upstairs. Okay? I just want to let you know, people that are like that, you guys are very selfish, narcissistic. Something ain't right up here. Okay? When you put you can breathe. You're here. We know where you are. When you put yourself above a missing person, shame on you. But I just want my life back. It's interfering. This is so intrusive. Really? As intrusive as a murdered kid? As a murdered grandma? The hell is wrong with you? This is why people don't like Bullhorn Betty. Because I school them on morale and morals. People forgot. You all need to go back to church and get a little dose of Jesus. Something's wrong with y'all. You guys want to say that something's wrong with me? Well, I can guarantee if somebody is missing in my community, I'm helping. I'm not going to be shutting it down. Just saying. But it's been a month. So what? Has the person come home yet? Well, no. How would you feel if that was your grandchild? Oh, well, we would want everybody. No shit, Shirley. No flippin' shit. Maybe I should plug that in. There. Forgot to plug it into the machine. So you guys were hearing it through the mic instead of the machine. It's plugged into the machine now, okay? It's plugged into the machine. So I don't like it, And so I start yelling. I get my voice. I want people to understand that people like me get really pissed off at things like that. And you know what that does? Like, I'm a professional protester. Like, I do commentating. If I went out there, it'd be mostly commentating. But if I saw this, I would start pulling out "We want justice" signs out of the back of my car and start getting on my bullhorn. Because if you want to shut it down, I'm going to turn it up. That's just the way I am. So be careful with what you're posting out there. Okay? And neighbor, take that damn sign down, you tacky person, you. Shame on you. Shame on you. If it was your grandchild, I doubt you'd be running anybody out of that community. But it's not your grandchild, right? It's a grandchild's grandmother that you're trying to stifle an investigation and media attention for. You realize that once media goes away, the case dies. There's no more media attention to it. That means Savannah's mom's gone. Nancy's gone. I just want to make sure you guys understand that out there in Arizona. That if it was your grandmother and we turned our back on you, your case goes nowhere. And you're running people away? And you're trying to sit here and convince me you care about this lady?
Bullshit detected. Take precaution.
Just saying. Just saying, people. Knock it off. Knock it off. But this is why people don't like me, because I tell it like it is. And I'll shame anybody. Even my friend. Even my mommy or my daddy. Right? I would shame them if they were in the wrong position. Why? Because this is real life. This is a human being. I don't give a shit about your damn feelings. I could care less. Damn. Yes. I could care less. Savannah Guthrie could be moving back to New York and resuming her NBC Today show anchoring position, acknowledging that her 84-year-old mother may not be found a month after she disappeared from her Tucson home. And they keep saying in the middle of the night, but I like letting people know just exactly what it was. She was ripped out of her freaking bed. She was ripped out of her bed. We still believe in a miracle, Guthrie said in a video after announcing a $1 million reward for her mother's return in an enduring mystery that has gripped the U.S. for 4 weeks. We also know that she may be lost. She may already be gone. Can you imagine being a child having to say that about your mom, that you have no clue where she's at when you should know where she's at? Soon after, the FBI said it was relocating its command focus, which that's another breaking news. If you guys didn't hear that, there's going to be a few FBI agents left, maybe 1 or 2 left here or something to that effect. But all the FBI agents are returning back to Phoenix. So the massive part of this case, folks, is done. Okay? There's no additional searches going on right now. And the FBI is going home. The media is going home. The neighbors are being assholes. The case is over. And this poor lady was never found. The case is over. I mean, it is for now. We're at that point where we're not going to hear anything for a year, 2 years, 3 years. We're not going to hear something. There's not going to be some spontaneous new something, because now we're in the hurry up and wait game. Now we're in the forensics. Forensics is going to be 9, 10, 11 months. The case is done. Okay? We're not going to revisit this case for a pretty good long while, in my opinion. Everything that can be processed quickly has been processed quickly. Now we're in the phase of hurry up and wait. That means all the stuff, all that trace, all that goes in the incubator. That means that they now go into a line, and it's going to sit there until the number comes up. If something happens in my neighborhood, I'm offering parking, shelter, beverages to independent media. Just saying. Amen to that. Amen to that. I put that back up. Sorry. When I heart it, it takes it off. Thank you. I think most of us would. And there are some people, because you hear like Brian Enton, he's got several people around that community. I think maybe even JLR might have some people around that community that say, hey, park at my house, But shame on Nanos doing this to this case. He tanked the case, and then he threw media out so they couldn't expose it. That's what he did. He did a shitty job. He led his department down a dead-end road. And then he just said, oh, well, don't criticize me. And starts throwing people out of the county. Oh, no, he doesn't really do it like that. He just starts doing stuff that needs to be legally challenged, like parking ordinances. How did he get the parking ordinance so quickly in that area? But the Board of County Commissioners can't say, hey, you know what? We're putting our elderly people in danger. Let's start installing lights around the community. But they can surely get those posts, no parking zone, right? They can surely get that done really quick. He said it's an ordinance. You can't pass an ordinance. A sheriff can't say, oh, I'm going to create an ordinance. No, it's got to go through the Board of County Commission. The Board of County Commission have to approve that ordinance. How in the hell were they able to do that so quickly? How were they able to do that so quickly? Unless the sheriff's lying and there is no ordinance. So I would like to wonder why they're willing to put their elderly community and families in danger of homicide, by the way, and being ripped out of their bed in the middle of the night by masked gunmen. They can do that without lights. But good God, media covering those cases, but you got to go. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. This is why votes matter. This sheriff needs to be fired, much like Sheriff Snuggle Struggles. And until we start as a community, we got to start firing these politicians. He's a politician. He's not a sheriff. He's a hunky bunk. Oh, I'll go. I know what the hell I'm doing over here in Tucson. I mean, we know what the hell we're doing. We won't even turn the lights on when we do investigations. Hunky bunk bullshit. Excuse my language, but hunky bunk bullshit. So we still believe in a miracle, she says, after the $1 million reward for the return of her mother, dead or alive. Deport Nanos. That should be the new. Yeah, deport Nanos. You guys are great. Let me ask you. This is not going to be a yes or no question. Before I go any further, this is like really, 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 Betty, if the community was gated, would the media have been able to get in there anyways? Yes. If it's public, this is the difference whether you can get behind the gates or not. It has nothing to do whether it's a gated community. It matters about the road. If the roads are public roads, they cannot lock those gates. I've went in there. I have argued with somebody. They told me they weren't going to let me in. I called the sheriff and they pushed me through. Because they take care of those roads. They cannot block the public on public roads. Now, if it's private roading and they're maintaining the roadway, then yeah, they have a little more pull in there about who can come and who can go. There are things that are like when I've had private communities, when they've had a breaking news case, the gates have to stay open because they've got the coroners coming in, the forensic people coming in, and all these other things. So you usually, if your media can get past there to cover the case limitedly, but once that goes and you're kicked out, then you have to do it on the outside of the gate. So even with those things, but I've made communities open their gate to me. I called the sheriff and said they're preventing me to movement on public roadway. And they came in there and schooled them and said, you cannot block her. You can have your gate, but you cannot block the public from public roadway. Now, it's the right of every community that's being built to have those roadways private, right? They don't have to make them public. But the reason why, like in Florida, they make them public is because they don't want the longevity of the maintenance of those roads into perpetuity. And when you have a private road, then all the citizens in there are required to maintain that road. And you have to maintain that road to the standards of that community, which can be very costly. So they don't want to take on that expense, and they hand that over to the county to take care of. You cannot block the public out of public roads, period. Okay? You can have the gate and you can have rules. But when push comes to shove, there is sheriffs that will force you to open those gates. I've done it myself. And it was with, where was it? It was there was a guy, I want to say he was in Orlando. And this was back when we were going to a lot of the Trump events. We all were having, like, everybody was breaking out with rallies across the country, you know, just one-off rallies and stuff like that, where this guy came to one of these rallies with a backpack. Apparently he wasn't all right upstairs. So he packed his backpack and he was going to set it off and hurt. You know, and mind you, our friends were there. Their children were there. It was a family-friendly event. And this guy was basically a domestic terrorist. And he was going to set off the backpack. Well, somebody saw him doing all this. And so they ended up catching the guy before it got worse. And so he was charged and arrested while we were going back there to protest him and his family because they were doing something wonky with the courts, you know, plea dealing and reducing that charge. And so we wanted to, and he was behind a gate, but those roads were maintained by the county. And so we had to call the sheriff, and the sheriff told those people, you have to let them in. You have to let them in. We maintain these roads. You cannot block the public out. And so all of us were able to go in and set up shop right in front of that kid's house. And we had our voices heard. Respectfully, that's my MO. If you do something wrong, I show up. Knock, knock. You don't want Betty on your front lawn. You don't want Betty on your front lawn. I'm just letting you know. You don't want Betty on your front lawn. I will go to your front lawn. Don't mistake who I am. It may annoy people, but it's my constitutional right. And like I said, I follow the law and I take my rights very, very seriously. So soon after the FBI said it was relocating its command focus on the missing grandmother from Tucson to Phoenix and her home was being released back to the Guthrie family, DNA samples recovered from the home have only produced hits of people who had reasons to be there. And the analysis glove found in the vicinity did not produce any leads. This is the reality of what we're dealing with in that situation. The increased reward, says former FBI profile Brianna Fox, is a strategic move in a missing persons case when the collection of physical evidence from a crime scene cannot be taken further. That's not good. That's not good at all. Or the chain of evidence has been broken in terms of what could be plausibly introduced in court. So now they're going to be looking at, can this evidence even come in? And they're saying, nope, this evidence can't come in, because the proper chain of custody was not followed. It was broken. And this is going to be challenged by the defense. They're hoping that where 100,000 or 200,000 was not enough, maybe 1 million could be enough to convince someone who is in this to come forward. This was a guy. There's a girlfriend. Most despicable pieces of garbage have a girlfriend. Most of those girlfriends have babies that aren't being taken care of. I just want to say this to you, baby mama of this monster. Do yourself a favor. He ain't worth your time. You, my friend, and your child, my friend, are worth $1 million. Can you imagine what you can do for your child or children with that money? Can you imagine the changes in your life? You can send yourself back to school, buy yourself a house and a nice car. You can do so much for yourself and for your family by not protecting this monster. This was an 84-year-old grandmother. Somebody knows their significant other or their child or their son or their roommate was not home during this time and came back either injured or acting strange, anxious, or nervous upon arrival. Washing clothes, changing clothes, an unknown change of clothes, some random place. Your roommate left in one pair of clothes, came back in another pair of clothes without any explanation. Think about all these things, because even if you don't know that your roommate, lover, significant other, coworker did this, maybe their behavior is just not right. If somebody was acting strange during this area, report it in. You might be that little nugget that breaks this case wide open. You might receive $1 million just because you had no clue that this was strange, but you looked back and you said, you know, someone right here. And come to find out, you were right to consider that and turn that in. $1 million, folks, $1 million. The theory behind that also relies on the idea that while a crime may initially have been committed by one person, more people become involved or are aware of it later. Somebody talks, somebody gets drunk. Hispanic people, because half my family is Hispanic, have a lot of alcohol in their life. They like their booze, and they like running their mouth, and they like putting their, things up, their firearms up in the air and shoot it off because they're just happy. You're just happy, right? I have family. That's how they do. I don't know how your family does, but that's how my family does, right? And so we have this, and the reason why I'm saying this is because, is it possible somebody might be at a bar somewhere bragging about something and somebody blowing it off as them just trying to brag and get attention? Don't look the other way, folks. Don't look the other way. Did somebody get injured and say, oh, well, I fell, right? And it's in a weird injury, and it's like your gut's telling you that ain't no damn fall, right? Or that didn't happen the way it did. You know, like he's saying one thing, but you know that doesn't make sense. Like you feel it in your gut, like you're being lied to, right? Those things you need to be calling in. Those are the types of things you need to be calling in. If you're in this area and somebody you know wasn't where they were supposed to be and then comes back injured or weird, you need to be calling and reporting their name in. Okay, even if you think it's a long shot, it's worth a long shot. $1 million? If I had a long shot, if I had a few long shots, I'd be bring. Let's go through the list of all the people around here that disadvantaged Bullhorn Betty. QB? Was it QB? Was it QB? BT? Was it them? There's got to be somebody. I know somebody did me wrong. Make a list. Were they where they were supposed to be at the time of this abduction? No, I'm just... I got lists, but make a list. I'm serious. I know I'm bringing satire to this, but make a freaking list. These people are out there. There's somebody knows something, and it might just be, and the reason why I'm doing all this, oh my goodness, a free way to show some thank you, love. Thank you. There's got to be somebody out there that knows something. Nobody, in my opinion, can pull this off by themselves. I mean, they can, but they're not without being noticed. Not without having to be lying to somebody about something, about their whereabouts, where they're going, what they're doing. Somebody has to lie about something here. Period. So will we ever know? Let me ask you guys this. Sorry, my nose is itching. By a ones or twos, do you think this case is going to be solved? Where we sit right now. 1, yes. 2, no. 3, too early to tell. 1, yes. 2, no. 3, too early to tell. Will this case be solved? And Tasha let us know that we have 130 likes. Please don't forget, we got 300 some odd people. Please go out there, hit that like button up for me. I would greatly appreciate it. Yes, we got 1 no. Okay. Javelina, my Javelina went to her. Aw. 2. So we got a mixed bag in here. Interesting. Amber's the only one that says too early to tell. Bless you. Thank you for being honest. Wow. So we have a few people that just don't believe this is going to be. That is wild. 666 says 3, so too early to tell. Okay, thank you for being honest. Appreciate that. All of you guys, appreciate you being honest. Patience is a virtue. FBI is gathering as much information as possible. They have suspects. Me personally, will this case be solved? Me personally believes that this case should be handed over to the FBI. I believe if Chris Nanos just handed it over to the FBI, things would proceed better. And I believe we would have a little more clarity, proper clarity about the case. One of the things that we have been plagued with during this case is the fact that Christopher Nanos has provided us information and then taken that information back. You know, so we've gotten a little bit of information and then it's pulled back. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, was she abducted? Was she kidnapped? You know, these things were being constantly convoluted at the very beginning. We didn't know what we were dealing with here. You know, we were hearing that we obviously have to believe that somebody broke into that house. So how? Why wouldn't they be willing to tell us? Did they come through the front, back, or side? You know, they didn't have to be specific. But they could have provided us a little context, a little clarity. Was it did they break in through the glass doors into her room? Is that why she surprised them? Is that what we're dealing with? We have a lot of unknown questions here, and I know that we can't expect law enforcement to give us everything. That would be not a good situation. We don't want the suspect that did this to know exactly what law enforcement has. We've never been those people that we ask for everything. We just want to know everything. We've never been that. We feel like we have a duty to know something. Okay, we have a duty. These people are paid for by us. Yeah, you owe us answers. Especially when an 84-year-old woman is ripped from her freaking bed in the middle of the night. You bet your ass law enforcement owes us some answers. Okay? You bet your ass they owe us some answers. Because before, they were telling us this was a targeted attack. Well, I don't know. It's been bouncing back and forth. It's been bouncing back and forth that this might be some random burglar. And if that's the case, y'all are in danger out there. So you bet you're behind this sheriff owes that community some answers. Are they in danger? Are they being hunted? Are elderly people being hunted in their community and ripped from their beds? So you guys get me. You guys hear me. This is serious. This is as serious as it will ever be. And they are not telling us anything, even after the facts of this case have changed. Before, when they told us it was targeted, we believed them. What about now? What about now? How many, let's do this. How many of you guys still believe, and I'm going to, let me answer, let me give all of the answers, the multiple choice answers before you answer. Let me figure out what my question is going to be. Let me preface my question correctly. Do you believe, after all of this information, they've identified 2 people, they went to their house, executed search warrants, impounded their car, they've turned the heat up on Annie and Tommaso, and we've got, from it being a third party to it being a family member and anything in between. Okay, and everything in between, really, because we don't know what happened. How many of you still believe that 1, this is a targeted attack, 2, that this, no, not one. Strike that. Don't put an answer. We're going to do 4, 5, and 6. 4, 5, and 6. So 4, you believe it was targeted. 5, you believe it's random. And 6, you don't know what the heck to believe. Targeted, random, or you don't know what to believe. 4, 5, and 6. Is this a targeted? What is this case? Is it targeted? Is it stranger danger? Or is it, we just don't know. We don't know what we're dealing with here. I would like to see. You guys get the question I'm asking. So those are the answers. 4, you believe it's targeted. So some people are saying 5 and 6. You believe it was random, or you don't know what to believe. We got a lot of 6s on this one. So a lot of people, okay, we got some 5s, but most people were 4 and 6 so far. Most people, we got a few 5s in here where people think it's random, but most of you guys think it's either targeted or you don't know what to think here. Hired hit. I really do. This is what's coming up to the top of the crop for me. This was a hired hit of some sort. But that's just a theory. We don't know what we're really dealing with here. It's just a theory. But I wanted to gauge you guys. Maybe we need to start at the White House. Maybe that's why we can't get straight answers from law enforcement. Maybe their families are being threatened too. I mean, it's a good possibility. It's a good possibility. Do you guys think that this, let me ask you guys this. You could just say yes or no for this one. Do you guys think that this could be or is a stalker of Nancy's that pulled this off? Because that's also been kind of, swirling around with all of this is whether or not, if you guys think that, it's possible that this is a stalker. Midnight Moon says targeted to who is being threatened now. No, we're still talking about Nancy Guthrie. We're just, I fell 4, but 6. It is confusing. I agree. It's a confusing case. No. So you guys are not feeling, some of you guys are feeling it. I don't think, listen, and this is where I come from, because I've tried to look at this, and I agree that there could be something here for that. But in all fairness, nobody's been able to produce any information. That's a theory. Nobody's been able to produce one legitimate. I went back to check to see about this financial problem, but nobody has been able to produce one receipt that they were hurting for money. Not one receipt. And somebody had brought up, now I'm not sure if this is true. I personally haven't looked down this avenue yet, but I heard yesterday that it appears that maybe the mom was thinking about selling her home in 2024. Epstein, maybe. I've been hearing a lot about Epstein related to this case. Just came back in. Oh, hey, noted one. All right. Yeah. In my opinion, not random. Yeah. So, I was sitting here thinking about this and about Annie and them and about this house selling and then them buying that house. I think what it was, I think the family as a family, and this would make sense. I know it's easy to look at them, but I think we need to start listening a little bit to law enforcement and start thinking further outside the box. Because if many of you, it looked like many of you thought this is targeted. And if many of you feel that this is targeted and you feel that it's family and they've cleared the immediate family, the siblings and their spouses, well, then it could still be somebody in the family, just not them. So we need to start getting ourselves out and looking at the family tree. I mean, you got to remember Savannah's dad, who was his brothers, sisters, and everything. Who are their relatives, their, people out there. We need to start looking past the siblings and their spouses, okay? We've got to, because I'm sorry, it's a dead end. And until something comes up that, in my opinion, that kind of brings them back into the fold, they've got to be out, because I think they're distracting us from actually looking past them. Close family to, that's kind of where I'm at too. But I'm really starting to feel, because law enforcement and the FBI have cleared these 6 people. They've cleared them. Okay. So that was a decision, and Jennifer Coffindaffer further supported when I said, because everybody kept saying, oh, well, it's just Pima County. The FBI didn't say that. And I'm like, yes, they did. When he made that statement went through multiple hands before it was produced. And it was agreed to by the FBI. I know how these joint things work. I've been doing this too long. And so I know that they would have never been able to put that statement out from Pima County without the FBI that's working right next to them approving it as well. So Jennifer Coffindaffer also acknowledged that to be true as well. My understanding of that is accurate. So I believe that we need to try to, if at all possible, put the family, the immediate family, out of the equation. I think by doing that, it might open us up to other possible family members, other possible avenues of leads that we can go down. But right now, we're painting ourselves in a big box here of Annie and Tommaso, and we're not getting out of it. And I think that's detrimental to our processing and our analysis of this case. I think we need to get out of that Annie and Tommaso box. And we need to say, okay, it feels targeted. It feels familial, right? We feel like there's some type of familial relationship here, but it's not these 6 people. So let's start looking at other avenues to go down for potential leads. Who, her father has been deceased for some time. When did he pass away? For whatever reason, I want to say it was like the 80s or 90s. Am I mistaken that? When her dad actually passed away? I'm not sure. In my opinion, it has nothing to do with the Epstein files. I kind of really don't think it has anything to do with the Epstein files, because when I look at it, her role in this and uncovering anything was so minimal. And it was about the same exact thing as other news organizations that covered the case, and interviewed the same individual. That would be embarrassing for Savannah and and a cause for a cover up. I mean, it could be, but we're having to assume so much to keep looking at Annie and Tommaso that it's starting to make my head hurt. We need to start moving past Annie and Tommaso. We've got to try to get past them because nobody's looking at them in law enforcement. And I can tell you from everything we've seen, they've canvassed the neighborhood twice. They've went in the house, they pulled whatever, they've impounded her car. If it was her or them, they would be able to make the link. They would be able to make the link, folks. Okay, at this point, a month later, somebody would have been in jail if it was one of them. I wish we had another Arizona case. Look at the Daybell case. They don't play around in Arizona. So I'm not going to, I just feel like we need to get past Annie and Tommaso. Just my opinion. I'm going to keep beating a dead horse. I think we need to start looking at other family members or other people very, very, very close. What about our church lady friends? What about their children? What about, does any of them have a son that lives at home that's, failure to launch type of guy? There are so many other things that we need to be looking at here that my head's starting to hurt. Keep going over and over with Annie and Tommaso. If it's not them, it's not them. We've got to move past them. Somehow, Savannah was 13. Okay. Bass Girl says, Ellie knows more and building the case. Look how much rope Ellie gave Ashley Buzzard regarding it. She would have been out. And I agree with that. They gave her but they had no choice but to give her rope because their laws there prevented them from making an arrest on truancy. They could have had her arrested and in jail long before this, but their laws there, and then they started choosing to violate her rights. But they should have had laws in place. I think they were forced to dangle out there because of the laws in Tennessee, which is a shame. She should have been in jail a long time prior to that. And because she wasn't in jail and because of her history, that was one of the cases that I got so wrong. It's not even funny. And my heart breaks over that. They still haven't released Annie's car. No, from my understanding, Cynthia, they have not. And I don't necessarily consider that a major red flag. I don't. And because there's so many reasonable reasons why they've kept the car. For example, was the last vehicle that Nancy was in. Whether or not they were culpable or anything else, that was the very last vehicle that she was in. There's reasons why they would keep it that don't look good for Annie and Tommaso. Maybe they found something like blood in the car that belonged to Nancy. Now, these are all theoretics, so don't go running around saying, oh my gosh, Betty said there's blood in the car in Nancy or in Annie's car. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm just giving you examples of why there are reasons for them to keep it with no culpability and reasons to keep it if they are culpable. I just don't see law enforcement clearing these folks unless they were cleared. Okay? Very rarely do we hear cleared, but you know what? Every case that we've heard clear in and they've solved the case, guess what? The people that they cleared were really cleared. That I can tell you. The history, the statistics of officers actually saying the person is cleared and them truly being cleared has a good history in the United States of America. There have been a few that they were swayed. That's why they're very hesitant. Many years ago, they used to clear people a lot sooner, more publicly, and they stopped doing that a long time ago because of the fact that they didn't want to make any mistakes or have had to walk back some of the mistakes that they have previously made. So when they do come out and say somebody's cleared, they really mean they're cleared. So I want you to understand that. And if you don't believe that, go back to recent stuff. I mean, when people are cleared, they've been cleared. So, like all the people in Idaho, when we kept arguing with law enforcement, they can't possibly be cleared, and they said they're cleared, guess what? They were all cleared. Okay? So we can't constantly say law enforcement is lying. Law enforcement doesn't know what they're doing. They have a lot more than we do. And if they're coming out and saying somebody's cleared, we have to give them that courtesy and understanding that they're not going to say that just to walk it back. It looks terrible on them. And not only that, but it causes them problem in the trial. Okay? The trial. They can have stuff thrown out because of those statements. So you got to understand that they're not making statements willy-nilly. If they're going to make statements purposefully that are untrue, they're doing it purposefully because it's untrue. But I can tell you this doesn't appear to be the case, because this case is literally not defying logic, because there's something we don't understand about the case. That's why. There's some very specific thing about this case that if we knew, we would know what happened. And we just haven't found that yet. We haven't found that yet. We feel like this is money, related to money or resentment. I don't think that it falls under any other category. It's one or the other. So we need to find all the possibilities for the resentment and all the possibilities for the money. I have to think that there are more people than just the three and their spouses that are involved in any type of will or financial gain from the estate, Nancy's estate, if we're thinking it has to do with money. Now, resentment might be something where somebody pulled somebody out of their will, right? Is there a fourth child that has been, thrown out of the family, right? Is there a brother or a sister or a half sibling we know nothing about, right? Can you imagine something like that where, not to disparage, I'm not saying that the husband or her father did this. I'm just saying it's not the most uncommon thing where somebody had an affair and there was an illegitimate child proffered from that affair. And what if they're coming around knocking on the door and Nancy slammed the door in their face and said, I don't know who you are. Go away, right? And maybe that enraged the person and they're going to pay that woman back for taking their father away from them, right? I mean, you don't know. It could be just like that. There's a lot of assumptions that have to be made for almost every single one of these theories. And because of that, they don't really apply to Occam's razor too much. Because Occam's razor is finding, the path forward without having to add all of these assumptions in. And that's what I was talking about, Cinderella. Like, there's cousins. We got to start looking at the father's side of the family, even Nancy's side of the family. Does she have siblings? Does she have a sister or a brother or several siblings? Because, our families used to be a lot bigger because people had to work. They had a farm. That's how people made money in this country. So when you had farmland, usually those mommies and daddies produced 10 or 12 children, because they had to produce that many children to help out on the farm. This was their livelihood. This was their job. And so, things were a lot different then. So with her being, 84 years old, was she part of that area where she has, 10 or 12 other siblings? And where's their families and theirs families and their families? You see what I'm saying? There's other people besides Tommaso and Annie, involved in this family, right? So I think that we need to start looking out and identifying more people in this family, more people of the domestic workers' families, right? What if one of the maids had to bring her son to work with her because he was sick that day, or she needed to take him to the doctor and she needed to get this job done before she left. And so she just brought him with her. And he's sitting there looking at this house. And then, a year or two later decides to go back to that house and rob it. Yep, my dad was from 16 kids. Yep. Whatever happened to the Bitcoin guy? I don't know. He was released. Yeah, the Depression days, back in the Depression days. Exactly. So there's just a lot here that I think that we need to develop a little more. And I think we're neutering ourselves by keep looking at Annie and Tommaso when the FBI as well as Pima County have cleared them. There's other suspects, and I think we need to start looking at those and start diving in because it might be a cousin with a rotten ass boyfriend, right? It might be, and they just may have came by for the Christmas party 2 years ago, and he's like, "Oh, I remember that house. I was in that house once before." It could be literally just like that. Who was at the last few years' Christmas parties? Who was at the last few years' Thanksgivings? Was there any parties where Nancy went to in the last 5 years? I mean, that's stretching. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You know, all this stuff that we're theorizing is quite a stretch, but we do feel like it's personal and we do feel like it's close to home. And we're learning from law enforcement, it can't be the siblings or their spouses. So now, I mean, that gives us some direction. It's not taking the entire family off the table. It's taking 6 individuals off the table. And if we truly believe that this could be a hit for hire, why? We need to ask that. If you believe that this is a robbery gone wrong, why did they take Nancy with them? We have to ask the whys. We have to answer those whys. And right now, we're not answering all of those why factors. We got a lot of why factors here. You know, why? I think if we start answering or trying to come up with those answers of the whys, we might start being able to look at who could have committed this. But we have to remember, it appears that the DNA is Hispanic. It appears what we've seen out there before in front of that house appears to be an Hispanic male. So any of our theories need to be considering a very dark-skinned Greek, Indian, maybe just somebody with a great tan, which is going to be, I mean, I guess this time of year, it sounds like it was pretty hot out there in Arizona. So I'd have to imagine anybody outside might have a good tan. Right? And not even be Hispanic, just might be tan skin. But we're looking at somebody like that, either a very light-colored black, like caramel or something. But it seems like a white tanned person or a Hispanic or Latino person. So that's kind of where we're at with this, but that's what it appears to be from everything we've been able to garner. And I do believe I heard, but it wasn't, what's the word I'm looking for? Provided by a reliable source. It was the Midwest something or other that Midwest, what's the name of that? Midwest. Do I have this? Do I still have it in my stuff? But it was Midwest something that posted it, and I can't remember the name. I think I've already filed it. Midwest Pundit, I think is what it was. But anyways, they basically said that they heard from a reliable source that the DNA came back as a Hispanic male. So, but because it didn't come from a reliable source and I've never heard it from anybody else, I'm not willing to say that it's a Hispanic DNA, because we heard that the DNA, we've been getting a lot of different mixed signals about the DNA found in the property, on the property somewhere, as being it being a combination. So it's been really problematic, and it could take up to a year to separate the DNAs in that sampling. So they want to get her money, inheritance. It was a robbery. They would have taken things even if it went bad. I agree with that. And I believe that even if it went bad, her body should be in the house. It shouldn't have been removed from the house. Who believes that if this was a robbery, that her body should have been in the house still? Yes or no? Yes, just write yes or no. Do you guys believe that this was a robbery, her body would still be in the house? Yes or no? Right. Yeah, outside the box, right. Yeah. I think so too. I think so too. That's the problem I'm having the most right there, guys, is me getting, it's been hard for me to get over this aspect of this. I thought about that too, Ty. I did think about that because I thought maybe, because it seemed like everything that even with his gloves that he touched, he wanted to take with him. And so I had looked at that aspect of it being the SA. We actually thought, maybe that's the reason why he took her, because he went in there. Maybe this wasn't for a robbery. Maybe this was a straight SA. A lot of people say nobody's going to, I can tell you, I've heard of a lot of elderly women being AR'd. Okay. So this idea from all types of people, including teenagers. Okay. I just want to put that out there. I've seen every type of R case you could imagine. And yes, there are elderly women, more than you would like to know, that are assaulted inside their home. Okay? It's disgusting. It's disgusting all the way around why somebody would do that to anybody, let alone an elderly person. It's sad. So, maybe this was targeted. Maybe it was targeted for something else that we're not entertaining. Stephanie, I was thinking about going out to Arizona. I just don't see what benefit I would be able to be out there, in all fairness. I mean, yeah, we could yell at the sheriff, but is that really going to help the case? I try to find things where we could really benefit a case. Like in in Sebastian Rogers' case, we were out there trying to pressure the sheriff to do the right thing and to at least have a press conference. They haven't had a press conference in 2 years. Sebastian deserves it. We have a right to have updated information from 2 years ago. They're saying listen to the reliable resources, but never even bother clarifying those reliable statements. Never even saying these are the facts of the case. They are just boneheads and incompetent in Sumner County. And I feel like the same thing is happening over here in Pima County. And it's very, very, very frustrating for me to sit here and watch. But at the end of the day, I do believe that there is a possibility. It's true. 18 got arrested for a 92-year-old lady. Yeah. We've seen it. Believe it or not, it does and it happens all over this country. So I'm not willing to take that SA or the R off the table for this lady as being the primary purpose of why she's not in that house. That theory still holds water until we know something different, because we don't know what kind of DNA they have in that house, but they did say it was not blood. So was it saliva? Was it semen? Was it touch? Was it urination? Was it a bodily fluid? Nothing shocks me. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's it. Nothing really shocks, I don't think, any of us at this point. I would be watching Highway 77 and 80 route to Florence, that long leg that goes north. Interesting. Yeah, I would like to go out there to explore, but every time we take on a case, you got to understand this case is pretty much, in all fairness, dying out, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. This case, we gave it hell. I don't see many people going to hold on to this case for 2 years like we did for Sebastian Rogers, unfortunately. I just don't see it. I see that the two holdouts right now, Brian Enton and JLR, are really out there just trying to keep this case alive and in the tension, because we feel like there's something, like you said, it seems like it's close. It should be like the answers are right under their nose. But at the end of the day, Pima County is sick and tired of us beating them up. And quite frankly, they should just hand it over to the FBI and be done with it. But we've got arrogance, much like in the Sebastian Rogers case. This arrogance is on display, on full display for the entire country. We, the people, if it was our case, if this was us, if this was our grandmother, if this was our child, we would want this to be in the FBI's hands, not some hinky-dink backwoods frickin' sheriff, either in Pima County or in Hawkins County or in Sumner County. We want our cases to be important. We want them to go to the FBI, and it's these damn sheriffs that have pissing problems and penis-sized problems that sit here and stand in their own way over arrogance and ego. And we're all stuck here like we can't do anything. And you know what we need to be doing? We need to be making sure Sebastian's Law is put into the feds so we can start having some control over moving these out of these despicable sheriffs. These sheriffs that don't want, listen, I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just saying they don't have the proper education for this case. And they're being despicable because they know it and they're still holding on to the case because they just have to break it. That, to me, that's the stuff that we, the people here in America, are getting sick and tired of. We're getting sick and tired. A lot of these cases should have been solved years and years and years ago. But people are punished for handing these over to the feds. I'm sick and tired of that being the reality. If you cannot get the case solved in a matter of several months, it's time for it to be reviewed by somebody above you. If it's sent back to you with some suggestions, do those suggestions and keep bouncing it back and forth until we start making some traction. But it needs to start getting handed over to these people, the FBI, are trained so much better than any type of county training you could ever have. State training doesn't even come close to the training the feds go through. Doesn't even come close. So why are we not having the best of the best handling our children, or the best of the best handling our disadvantaged here in this country? Why is it always we're at the mercy of these incompetent entities? And we're told we have to deal with it. I am so sick and tired of dealing with it. I'm so sick and tired of having to sit here and see what we see and having to eat it when we know that this is the right path forward. This is the right path forward. Why can we not get these sheriffs on board with this being the right path forward? Why? Why? And why does our federal government force us to keep dealing with this? At what point are we going to start getting on our federal government's ass and telling them we're sick and tired when we hit walls with our local law enforcement? We should have places to move. We pay for all of this shit. Okay? We pay for the feds, we pay for all of it. Why am I having to beg a county sheriff to do the right job? Why do we not have any path forward to force it out of their hands? We, the people, should have control over this. We should have control over this. So you guys have action items. We always have action items. We have a lot of action items on this show because we really want change in this country. And it takes all of us to create change. But these seem like common sense practices that we should have throughout this country. Yet here we are, constantly having to fight with several, not all, because we have great sheriffs and great sheriff's departments all over this country that know how to do law enforcement. Okay? And God bless you and thank you for your service. For the people that don't, they need to be educated. They need better training. Okay? Don't be mad at Bullhorn Betty for exposing it or other content creators exposing it. Start realizing that you're incompetent and start getting trained. Start doing better instead of bitching about what people are saying about you. Right? So that's what we need. But right now we have too many untrained people running major investigations. And this is what is causing these problems all across this country. There's no standardized training. There's nothing when it comes to law enforcement. There's nothing. Nothing is standardized anymore. And we keep wondering why some areas are succeeding and some areas are failing. There's so many things that need to be done. And everybody wants to talk about the farmland. Farmland. Well, I want to talk about humans. I want to talk about saving human beings. I want to talk about finding policies that help bring justice for human beings that are no longer here with us. That's what I would like to do. We need Grady Judd on the Sebastian Rogers case. You know what? We need Grady Judd to start training people around this country. But I'm not willing to take him out of my backyard to put him in yours. I'll kind of like him in mine. So we're going to keep him there. I truly believe Grady Judd's going to die of a heart attack wearing a badge. That man will never stop. I don't ever see Grady Judd retiring. I really don't. I don't ever see that man retiring. He is going to literally die in a uniform. He literally is. Yep. So we've got to do better, folks. We got to do better around this country, but it doesn't affect you. Like, there's people here. I remember starting out this show, 5 years ago. Do you know how many times we've had somebody from our show have a family member or a friend disappear? Since then, we have like at least 3 that we can name off the top of our head. Layla Santinello and Jen Santinello was one that came from one of our audience that knew these people. Okay? They were here just consuming what we're talking about here until they became one of our stories. You never know how important the advocacy is until it's knocking on your door. But by the time it's knocking on your door, it's too late to advocate. Okay? It's too late. So what do we need to do? All of us that come here every single day, we're here for a reason, not just to learn about these cases. We're shocked that nothing is being done to prevent them. There's so much we should be doing. So much. And it's so hard to do. And many of us don't even know where to start. I can only tell you, for me and my experience, my start was just showing up. Just showing up to the meetings. Knowing exactly when my Board of County Commissioner meetings is, and going and sitting in the back of the room. It is funny when you just show up, there's things that are going to be spoken that just enrage you right there from that room. And you don't need to be scripted. You don't need to know what you're going to say. It comes naturally. It comes naturally because you're sitting in that room and you know that this is a bad choice. And it's almost like that microphone is a magnet and your butt kind of flies out of the seat. And the next thing you know, you're in front of a microphone and you're telling your politicians, this is horrible for our community. And it starts with that. And then once you get there, once you make that step, it's all over but the crime. You realize your voice was heard. You realize for the first time, these slimy, sleazy people heard what you had to say. And when you get there and you're bitten like that, it's funny how you start showing up. You start advocating. You start doing what's right for your community. Then your community people come up to you and says, you really said something nice there. It really resonated with me. And then that's your fuel to go to the next one. You can be a hero in your community if you've got time. If you've got time. All I'm asking you to do is just show up. Just sit in the back of the room and don't say a word. Just show up. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Before we leave, we got, don't leave yet. We're going to have another show today. What time is it? It is almost 9:30, folks. We're going to have another show today, but we're going to be on crime stories. And I want to ask you guys, I have a whole entire list that's going to start. I'm going to start working on the crime stories. So I've got all these shows ready at the drop of a dime. Updates on stuff we haven't talked about in a while. So my question to you is, what would you like an update on? So we have the Iran bombing. If you guys are wanting some updates on that, I'm happy to provide updates on that. We have an Ohio daycare worker that terrorized 7 children. That's a case. The Celeste and David case. That's another one. The American Idol murder. We've got the Epstein files. We've got updates for Rex Heuermann, Alec Murdaugh, even Brian Koberger. Ooh, we've got major movement in Oakley Carlson. And, of course, some statements from Brandy Vaughn in the Michael Monkey Vaughn case. Is there any case that you guys would like a little more information on today so I can get the thumbnail and we can go ahead and get that set up? Polk County don't play. No, it doesn't, Kay. It surely does not. Because if not, then I will pull the story and we'll start. Tomorrow's going to be bad. I was going to say we can start tomorrow. American Idol murder. Yeah, that's the pastor. It's the pastor that murdered his wife. Tried to say it was an ambush. He's now in jail. His 2 girls are in daycare worker, Murdaugh, monkey case. We can do 3 of them. I hugely misjudged you 4 years ago during Dylan rounds. I was wrong and I apologize. Oh, well, thank you, Barbara. Yeah, well, I didn't have much choice. We just keep trucking through. If it was about me, I would have closed up shop a long time ago, but it's not. It's about these cases. Okay, so we'll do an update for today. We'll do an update on the American Idol murder, and we'll give you guys an update maybe on Alec Murdaugh. We'll do the American Idol murder and Alec Murdaugh. We may move that over. Guys, we're going to be talking about these things all week. Okay, these are our fill-ins for our crime story channels. For probably the next month. Okay, we've got all these additional stories that we're not talking about because of these breaking news cases, and so I want to make sure that we're getting up and the thing in any of them. Okay, perfect. Barbara, that came from Candace Cooley. She doesn't know me. Aw. Yeah, I felt bad with the representation they had. That had to been so hard on her. She was trying to get a PI to help them, and the PIs, I don't believe in internet PIs because of the Dylan Round case. Ever since then, I realized how unscrupulous they are and how dangerous they are to families of the missing because they're already going through so much. They don't have an opportunity to keep getting dicked around. And that is one of the reasons why I always say that, when it comes to people asking me about PIs, I'm very, very, very specific on the PIs that I want anybody to have. It means a local PI. Where your child disappeared from, you need a local PI. Not an internet PI, not somebody across the country. You need a PI right there in the backyard of where the missing person came from. Why? Because they are the most local to that case. You're not going to be wanting to pay somebody to fly in from this place or fly in from that place to do their job. You want a PI in your backyard. That's the PI that I will always recommend. A person you can see, feel, and touch yourself, that you can go and meet in his office and speak to him face to face, belly to belly. That's how I like to do my business. That's how I expect my missing families to do their business, because they can be jerked around with somebody that they don't know that they're on the phone with. You can't be jerked around when you see somebody office and belly to belly. So that's always going to be my recommendation. All right, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll pull something together. Like I said, the cases are already researched. They just need to be put in order and then presented. So we'll get something together. I'm hoping to have a live today at 11 a.m. on the crime story side, so I'm running out of time. It might be noon. So if you guys haven't subbed up to crime stories, go over there and sub up to crime stories. And also tomorrow, if you guys know, my friend, a county commissioner, lost her life. And they're going to be giving a memorial tomorrow morning at our BOCC meeting. So I'm going to be at the BOCC meeting. I'm not happy because Tal, the chair, the evil piece of shit that he is. Somebody clip that and send it to him. He's an evil piece of shit. He's so evil, he doesn't know how evil he is. I'm probably going to have something. I was going to let it all stand, lay down and wait until Thursday because I care about my friend, but I am so sick of fake people that are going to say something nice about her after trashing her for a year and a half, including our employees. My mind is thick. My mind is very, very thick. And I will honor my friend. And that means honoring my friend when you disparaged her. So, anyways, change is coming in Manatee County. I can guarantee that. But God bless you. Let's make changes around the United States of America, one policy at a time. God bless. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. We will be back later this afternoon. See you soon.